Man, you already know what it is. Jay Williams, Let's Live Life, and we're back. Everybody in prison is innocent, right? Raise your hand if you're innocent. Not true. There is a small, and I do mean small, number of men all across America, all across the world, that are doing time for crimes they didn't commit. I've met quite a few men along my journeys that I was completely wrong about. Men that were doing time for something they didn't do. Thomas Hainsworth, Jonathan Montgomery, Jacob Aquino. A handful of guys I've met along the way didn't do what they were charged with. But once you're found guilty, it's off to prison you go. None of that matters anymore. And the brutal truth of it is, judges, prosecutors, cops, they don't come forward and say, hey, we made a mistake, until their hand is forced, until it's right there in their face and it's undeniable. Their reputation is on the line. If they find out that they lied about this or that they wrongfully convicted this man, the floodgates are going to open. Other cases are going to start getting overturned. Nobody's going to want to believe what this prosecutor says anymore, this judge. They're going to be frowned on. So they'll go down fighting to the very end that they made the right call and that the right man is incarcerated. Up until the moment that it's like, oh man, didn't do it. Then they make a public apology or say nothing at all, and then the man goes free. They'll give you some money. Here's some money. Sorry, half your life's gone. Our bad. I got to go prove that some other people are guilty. Because they're not, your lawyer tries to prove your innocence. They want to, at all costs, prove that you are guilty. That's a stressful situation. I've actually had two different events in my life that I have not yet talked about, where I was arrested for something that I didn't do. And then while I was in the jail, detectives come in and are like, sorry, our bad. You can go home now. You didn't do it. Yeah, I told y'all that. Yeah. Oops. Sorry, you've been in jail for a while now, huh? My bad, homeboy. See you on the flip side. They're not known to do that. You are guilty until proven guilty. They say guilty until proven innocent. They presume you're guilty from the moment that you're locked up. Otherwise, you wouldn't be locked up. You ever thought about that? That's a fact in the matter. But with these type of things comes a lot of pressure. Could you imagine being incarcerated away from your family for something you didn't do? No, you couldn't. I've dealt with men that did. I've seen men walk their life day in and day out behind the wall for a charge they didn't commit. And I've also seen that moment when it all comes to head and they explode. That's what we're doing today. You know how to see it. You know how to lived it. So, let's relive it. Take a couple minutes to answer a comment. Actually, it's been a bunch of comments and requests. And I'm going to do it without doing a whole video on it, because I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy that's going to make a 45-minute video on what these people got going on over there. I'm a normal person. I'm a dad, business owner, productive member of society, a YouTuber. I'm just a guy. With being just a guy, I have just a normal life. I come home, I hang out with my 4-year-old, which is my best friend. My little boy is hands down my best friend. It's been a blessing, a beautiful thing watching this little dude grow up. And then I kick it with my other son, which is my heart and soul. I spend time with my children when I get off like a dad should. Then I'll spend some time with my wife. I'll have dinner. I might scroll the internet to see what's going on. I might kick back, watch Netflix, or might jump on YouTube. YouTube's really not entertaining me these days. There's not a whole lot going on YouTube that's for real, catching my attention. So I don't watch a lot of YouTube. But I was responding to some comments, responding to some emails from fans and subscribers and viewers. And I kept getting this repeated comment. What do you think about the Will Smith, Chris Rock situation? what situation? This is news to me. So I check it out. I go to YouTube and I type it in, and immediately it comes up, Will Smith and the whole incident with Chris Rock making the joke. Will Smith did what everybody else in the audience did, laughed. Oh, they're all laughing at my wife. Oh, no, you didn't. Got up out of his chair, and y'all, you're aware of it. The whole world is. And he went up there and slapped the man. What do I think about the situation? Do I think he was wrong? Yes. Him saying something out of his mouth, or you saying something out your mouth, doesn't give somebody else the right to put their hands on you. Keep your hands to yourself. Was lucky he didn't go to jail, to be honest. Do I understand why he did it? Yes, I do. This is the double-sided coin. There comes a time when enough is enough. There comes a time when you get tired of being laughed at. You feel you need to step in. You look over and you see somebody you love that's been insulted. His feelings is hurt. And this has happened repeatedly. And you just got to put somebody in their place. And that's what Will Smith did. He had an incident with Rock in the past, making jokes. And, he went up there and tightened him up. Pow. Gave it to him in front of the world. Now, here's the thing with that. And I've told y'all this before. And see if this doesn't play right into what I'm saying, if I'm not right. I always tell y'all, people only remember the last thing you did. If I loan $1 million out today amongst 1,000 people, I take that million, I split it up and give it to 1,000 different people. Those same 1,000 people reach out to me next month trying to borrow money, and I say, hey, I ain't got it. They don't remember that I helped them last month. Now they're going to bash me. Nothing I've done prior to that moment means anything. It's, look at you said no, It's the same thing with what he's got going on in life in general. Everybody's focused on the fact that Will Smith did this. Nobody's looking at the fact that he won an Oscar that night for an amazing movie, King Arthur on the Venus and Serena Williams story. Nobody's really talking about that or how amazing the movie was. Everybody says Chris Rock made a joke, he got slapped. Nobody focuses on the fact that he put together an entire skit for that night, wrote everything out, and performed it and gave an amazing performance at the Oscars that night. They only remember the last thing you did. Situations like this are going to happen in life. If they were just two regular guys, we wouldn't know about it. People lose their lives all across America daily, and it doesn't even make the news. People are overdosing at an all-time high, and the overdoses don't even make the news. But Will Smith slapping Chris Rock is front page. It's trending on the internet. This is a crazy world we live in, indeed. And just understand something, man. Everybody's got their breaking point. I don't care who you are. You can be a monk. You can be a priest. You can be the friendliest, most non-violent guy in the world. But when it comes to that moment that you actually have had enough, all that, what everybody knew about you goes out the window, and you handle your business. Been there, done it. I've put my hands on men in the past, and as soon as it's over, I felt terrible. I had a situation with a dude one time that was a friend of mine, and in a split second, he did something that disrespected me, and I put my hands on him. And afterwards, when nobody was around, I shed tears. Like, I literally started crying. And I couldn't understand, but looking back now, I understand why. Because it was out of character. That wasn't who I was. I was angry at myself for letting that guy get me out of pocket, and for letting a side of me that I thought I had control of rear its ugly face again. It was frustrating. So that's my opinion on the matter. Should he have slapped him? No. And if he felt the need to, he shouldn't have done it on national television. But then again, like I said, when you get fed up and you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you don't really get to write in your daily planner, all right, tomorrow, 3 p.m., pull up on Chris Rock and slap him. No, it's not how life works. You get caught up in the moment, you go with it, and then you have to deal with the consequences. And that's all I gotta say about that. I met so many guys in the jail that proclaimed their innocence. And that's what they had to do. They wanted to beat them charges. Most guys don't run around telling everybody, yeah, I did it. Man, they got me messed up, man. That wasn't me. Heard that 1,000,001 times. Then they get found guilty and you run into them after they've been sentenced and they're in prison. And you find out the truth in the matter. Yeah, man, I shot old boy, man. They've been caught. And prosecutors are pretty good at painting them pictures and coming up with the facts. Sometimes they're wrong, but most times they are right. Most times. Every now and then, they get it wrong. I've met several different men that were innocent, but were doing time for crimes they didn't commit. I knew some of these men to be innocent. Had seen their cases, had talked to them, listened to them, went over the facts of the case with them, and it did not take not even a smart man to put two and two together and say, hey, this guy didn't do this, man. How did anybody convict this man? Like, he shouldn't be here. And when you run into those type of guys, it's a sickening feeling. You're there for something you did. I was there for something I did. I was young, stupid, out of control, making all the wrong decisions in life that would send me right to prison. I deserved to be where I was. I had to atone for my sins, pay for my crimes. But I have met men along the way that didn't do what everybody said they did. I have a brain. I read the papers. I read all this, and it's crazy. You've been locked up how long, and they still won't let you out? That is pressure like you could never imagine. Go to work today. You're not a criminal. The most you've ever had is some speeding tickets. You don't indulge in any type of street life. You don't have a group of friends that are out there doing bad stuff. You're just an everyday average Joe, just a normal guy. You go in, you sit down, eat dinner with your wife and your kids. Y'all go to bed. 4 o'clock in the morning, your front door gets hit with a battering ram. Police, step out! You hear police, search warrant, and through the door they come. They drag you out the house in the middle of the night in your boxers. If you're lucky, you got a shirt on. You stand on your front porch in handcuffs as an officer brings down pants and puts them on you. Brings you whatever pair of shoes that are closest. So it could be them dirty work boots. And you're taken off to jail. You don't know why you're going to jail. You get there and they start reading off the charges. You tell them, no. This ain't me. I haven't done anything. Y'all got the wrong man.
I am innocent, and I am not suicidal.
You'll have your day in court. Officers don't want to hear it. It's just their job to go get you if that's what they tell them to do. Detectives talk to you. You're 100% truthful in everything you say. And they still don't want to hear it. They tell you all these things that you did that you know you never did. No, I was not there. I've never been there. I don't know who that person is. That was not me. You still have hope. There ain't no judge in his right mind going to convict me of this. I'm a family man. And then you go in front of a judge. You go in front of a jury. There's a prosecutor up there telling everybody these things that you did that you didn't do. And you just know in your heart of hearts, no, I got faith in the system. They would never send me to prison for something I didn't do. Innocent men don't go to prison. No way. And then they come back with that verdict. Guilty on all counts. You hear your family let out a sigh and start crying in the courtroom. You look around at everybody, but you're not really looking at them. You're looking through them because your brain is just froze. Everything that's said after that moment sounds like Peanuts. It sounds like Charlie Brown's parents. Wah, 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 wah. And you feel like you just woke up from being knocked out because this cannot be real. They take you back to jail. where you've got to sit mentally and deal with the fact that you just got found guilty of something you never did. Then you come back to court and they sentence you to a life sentence, plus hundreds of years on top of it. And they tell you, I'll remand you to the Department of Corrections until the day you die. You will be in this place forever. Your children will grow up without you. Your wife, if she's strong enough, may hang in there. If not, she'll move on and restart her life. Everyone you ever knew, loved, cared about, is going to die while you were incarcerated. And you're not going to be there in their final moments. Your children will go on to go to school, graduate, have kids, get married. You will not walk your daughter down the aisle. I think that is by far one of the hardest things a man could ever have to deal with in this lifetime, next to losing a child. And everything I just told y'all is based facts. It's based off of a story I heard from a man while I was locked up. So there was a guy in my pod at one point, and this is an older black gentleman that really didn't bother nobody. But what he did do was sit out at a table by himself every single day, reading over legal paper, reading law books, going through previous cases and codes. He would always go to the law library. My cellmate at the time was also fighting a case that he didn't do. He was just fighting a crazy case. So everybody came to him for legal advice. He was really good at what he did. They would pay him in hopes that he could get them up out of what they had going on. And that is how I came to find out more about this man. Not because me and him had ever kicked it or sat and conversated, but because my cellmate brought his case to my attention. When you're in the cell with somebody, you don't really have a whole lot to do other than watch TV, listen to the radio, work out, or talk. Some people will play chess or cards, but talking is a big part of being in the cell with another man. You come to find out a lot about that man, his mannerisms, things you like, you don't like about how he lives and how he carries himself. But my cellmate, being the guy that helped everybody else with their legal work, would oftentimes tell me a lot of what these guys had going on. He brings this guy's story to my attention. He comes in at night and I can see that something's kind of like bothering him. It's on his mind. And he's usually quick to talk as soon as he gets in the cell. He usually talks my head off. And he gets in there and he's kind of quiet and he's reading through these law books and got this big manila envelope full of this man's legal paper, all the stuff pertaining to his case, right? And he's still not saying nothing. We've been in the cell. It's after, it's nighttime lockdown. We've been in here better part of an hour and a half or so, and this man's not said 2 words. He's got his TV on, but he doesn't have his earbuds in, so he can't hear it. And he's sitting there at the little countertop area with the TV sitting there. And he's highlighting things in this man's case, underlining things, and he's reading and reading. And he'll go to the law book, open it, and read. And I get tired of the silence, wide awake. I'm like, yo, what you doing, man? What's up? You all right? Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm trying to help dude with his case. What it's about? It's kind of like everybody's got a story. He said the man shouldn't be in prison. What you mean he shouldn't be in prison? He shouldn't be in prison, Jake. He goes on to tell me, he said, dude was a mechanic, dude worked on cars. He's not even from the state of Virginia. He was actually from South Carolina. He said this man ain't never been in trouble in his life. Never. Got speeding tickets like the next man. Little traffic infractions. But as far as being a criminal goes, that's just not who he is, not who he's ever been. All right. Why is he in prison? He's in prison for rape charges, midnight burglary charges, strangulation, abduction, kidnapping. He's got hundreds of years plus a life sentence. Well, just because you ain't never been in trouble before don't mean there ain't a first time for everything. Don't mean you can't go out and just decide to get in trouble. Nobody's ever been in trouble until they get in trouble. That's how I used to look at it until cases like this would come to my attention. So as he's telling me, I'm thinking, First things, and I can't lie, first thing came to my mind was, some dude's a sex offender. I didn't say that. I gave him the opportunity to speak, and he was like, this man shouldn't be here, Jay. And I said, why you say that? He was like, because just all the witnesses in his case, the testimony from family members, co-workers, all says that it's impossible for him to be the person they're looking for. And on top of this, with this being the late 70s, early 80s, all the evidence that was tied to that case, and now at that point we didn't have DNA testing. I don't think they thought anything like DNA testing would ever exist. But at this point that this man is working on these appeals, and you got to think now, it has been upwards of almost 30 years he's been locked up. All the evidence from this case has been destroyed. It's gone. It's no longer around. There's no file with DNA in it. There's no bag with a pair of panties or a skirt or anything collected from a crime scene in it. It's a closed case. He did it. One way or another, the evidence isn't there anymore. So they couldn't take the evidence in front of a judge or anybody to have his DNA ran to show, hey, look, y'all do this DNA stuff now. Whatever y'all collected at the scene, that's not my DNA. It's not. Check it. And he had argued this. One of them, and they said they were going to look, and then it came back to look. It is just gone. Nobody has it. So he continues to tell me more. He says, dude lived in South Carolina, was the father of 3, married, mid-20s. I think maybe like 27, 28 years old. Never been in trouble in his life. He said they kicked his door in early morning, and they arrested him. He would be held in a South Carolina jail for a couple of days and then brought to Virginia to stand trial. He was ultimately convicted of sexually assaulting 2 women in the middle of the night, stealing personal items from their house, tying them up, moving them from one room to another, gagging them, all these different things, right? That's what he would be go on to be convicted for. And like I said, the judge told him, you'll never come home again. Here's the problem. Number 1, the man lived in South Carolina. Number 2, at the time that the first assault took place, which was it was around 5 o'clock in the morning, or he said it was right before daylight. The man worked that day in South Carolina, was at work that morning at 7 o'clock. His time card was punched. Everybody from his job testified that he was there. There's no possible way he could have made it from South Carolina to Virginia, especially where with the way the 2 counties were situated, in that amount of time, and made it back. His wife testified that, no, I'm a very light sleeper. I know if my husband gets up to go use the bathroom in the middle of the night. He's never left our house in the middle of the night unless he was going to the store, and he'd be back in 20 minutes. On the second occasion, when the second one happened, he had attended a family event that day. I don't know if it was like a family reunion or they just had a barbecue or celebrating something. But all his family members, got and met up at this event and were together. And they were there till late that night, later, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. And then he went home. The second sexual assault took place around 3 a.m. in the morning. Once again, he's got a whole family to testify that, hey, he was at the event till after midnight with us. No possible way he could have gotten from there to there and then back home without his wife knowing and committed these crimes. This would all fall into place as far as destroying his life when he took a trip to Virginia to see an aunt, some cousins, some other family members that he hadn't seen in a while that lived in South Carolina that moved to Virginia. And just by chance, he was out and about, And one of the victims in the case saw him in his car with his family, took down the license plate number, gave it to the detectives, told him 100% this is the man that did it. I'll never forget him. I'll never forget his eyes, his face. Detectives started investigating, got his, I guess, DMV photo, showed her the picture, and she was like, yes, that is the man. They then took that photo to the other woman, which said, yes, that is the man. They would then go to his house, I believe it's U.S. Marshals, drag him out of his bed in the middle of the night, and off to prison he went. My cellmate told me all that. I read it in the transcripts, in the court transcripts, and the motion to discovery paperwork. We went over it, and I was looking, and I was just I felt terrible for the man. Sometimes you can be going through something and not realize how minute and small what you have going on is. And what it takes sometimes is seeing what somebody else has going on to make you realize, damn, man, I should be grateful. My situation ain't even that bad. And I remember that's how I felt when I read over this man's case with my homeboy. I felt tiny. I felt stupid for being in my feelings about some things I had going on at the moment in my life. So I told him, I said, look, man, you and dude ain't got to sit out in the pod and discuss dude's business and what y'all got going on. If you want to come over to the cell, like, we got to don't be bringing people in the cell policy. We both live in here. Like, it ain't enough room. But I told him, I said, if you want to bring dude over to the cell and y'all work on this case, man, that's cool with me. You know what I mean? Like, the dude is not a sex offender. He's not. In no way, shape, or form. So they would work on this case for a while, months and months and months, and they're working on, he's exhausted almost all his appeal processes. He's then went through the writs and the habeases, and he's now pushing towards, different Supreme Courts and this and that, and his family has been hired lawyers, but you got to think now, it has been over 30 years, and they have pretty much given up all hope that he'll ever come home. I remember watching him sit in my cell with my cellmate and just thinking to myself, this man don't belong. But with being locked up that long, prison will turn you into what you have to be to survive. So even though he doesn't belong here, he's a convict just like all the rest of us. He can get violent real quick just like all the rest of us because he's been dealing with violence since he came in. And the only way to deal with violence in prison is to meet violence with violence. You got to do it to them before they do it to you. That's the only way you can make sure that you keep yourself safe, which is objective number one, safety at all times. My cellmate ends up, I'd say maybe 4 or 5 months later, getting in trouble, going to the hole. And that, I had so many people at my cell when they were packing his stuff up. He got locked up somewhere else in another part of the prison with an incident that happened, and they came to the cell to pack his stuff up. And he had a lot of guys' legal paperwork, stacks and stacks and stacks of manila envelopes and law books and stuff underneath our table. And guys were, hey, what's up with your celly, man? And locking him up. Man, I need to get my legal paperwork. No, hell no. Might never see him again. They need this stuff. So I told dudes, if it's yours, get it. I wouldn't usually let nobody take nothing that belongs to nobody out this cell. But I understand this is your ticket to freedom. This is your legal work. You need this. And the dude come over there and he was like, hey, man, I need to get all my legal work. I need to get my legal books. If they pack that stuff up in your cell, it gets shipped, I'm going to lose my stuff forever, or the guards will just throw it in the trash. So I told him, yeah, go ahead, grab your stuff, man. Anything that's yours that pertains to it, don't be going through his commissary, his personal items, but all that paperwork and stuff sitting over there belongs to y'all. Y'all need to get y'all stuff. And that's what guys did. They roll the rest of my cellmate's stuff up. The guards do, put it in the cart, and they roll out. It didn't take long. Maybe about 45 minutes later, old head, the dude come over to my cell, and he said, hey, it ain't no more legal work in there, ain't no more legal paper. I said, nah, man, all his stuff's gone. Let me look, man. I need to look under his map, man. I need to check, man. The case we're working on, all the work we've been doing that we're getting ready to present to the courts, it's not in my folder, man. I need to look to see if them papers is in there. Hey, man, I told you, ain't none of his stuff in here no more. Can I please look under his mat, look in his lock? Yeah, man. Come on in, right? I understand the man is stressed. They have worked now 5-6 months on this case to present it to the courts. Like I told you, his family has given up hope that he'll ever come home. But he knows he didn't do this. So he is adamant. He's still in his brain, like a lot of lifers, has the dream that one day he's going to go home. One day somebody's going to see the flaw. The right person is going to get caught. He's going to be released. He needs this paperwork. He needs everything him and Marcelli worked on. His life depends on it. This is, I guess to him, it feels like his last shot. So he comes in, looks around, and I remember when they packed up my cellmate's stuff, they grabbed a bunch of folders. They fold your mat in half. If there's anything under your mat, they get it. And guys put stuff under their folders that they use underneath their mat that they use on the regular, right, on the bunk. And there was a bunch of folders laying there. My cellmate was fighting his case, so I'm under the impression that those are his papers. Y'all got all y'all stuff. That man's stuff was up there along with another guy's stuff up underneath my cellmate's mat. That stuff got packed up and sent with him. I can see the panic in his face. He goes out to the guards that packed up my cellmate. The one guard is, on the floor walking around, and the other guard is over at the hole dealing with processing him, my cellmate into the hole. And he tells him, hey, man, y'all packed up some of my stuff when y'all took dude to the hole. The guard tells him, you're not supposed to be sharing things with other people in here. No reason that man should have anything that belongs to you. It's legal work. Look, unless you want to get a charge, you might want to leave the situation alone. He's not supposed to have anything that belongs to you in that cell. Man, it's my case. It's my court case. I need this to send to the courts, man. It's almost done. I need these papers. Like I told you, the man's not supposed to have anything that belongs to you that goes against the DOC policy. Y'all not supposed to be sitting out here doing legal work together anyway. That's a lawyer's part, job to do. You're not a lawyer. You ain't a lawyer. Anything that got packed up in his property is gone. It's open personal property, logged away, and he'll get it when he gets out the hole. Dude don't say much. You can see it in his face. He looks like he's sick to his stomach. Pretty much that's the best way to explain it. It looks like he wants to throw up on himself. Another dude comes to my cell and says the same thing. Hey, man, can I check to see? Look, man, the other dude just came over and looked. I told y'all they took some folders from underneath his mat. Maybe your stuff was in there. This dude's fighting a murder case, right? Trying to get it taken from like 1st degree to 2nd degree murder. I said, nah, man, it's nothing else in there. But go ahead and look so you can have peace of mind. I don't want your paperwork. It's worthless to me. What am I going to do with your court documents, right? Do tic-tac-toe and Sudokus on the back? Like, draw pictures? Your paperwork's no good to me. He checks. Short time later, old head goes over to his cell and just trying to talk to him. Hey, man, maybe you got my paper. He's gone to different dudes now that my cellmate had their paperwork. He's made his way to each one of these guys to make sure his paperwork didn't get mixed up with theirs. And you grabbed your folders. Can you look through your papers and make sure that the case we're working on ain't mixed in with your papers? And dude's telling, nah. Then the one dude that came to my cell that was looking for his paperwork on the homicide charge is all pissed off, mad. He's going to ask the other guys as well. Dude goes to him and says, hey, man, can you check your papers and make sure that my papers didn't get mixed in with yours? When they locked, A up, I ain't got my papers, man. I'm asking everybody that he had their legal work to check their papers. Bro, go on somewhere, man. I ain't got your papers. Don't talk to me. If you could just look, and dude says some crazy S out of his mouth. If you could just look and see if you got the papers, man, it might be in there. You don't know. Yo, get away from my cell, man. Don't be over here questioning me about stuff. I done told you 2-3 times. I ain't got your papers. I can't find all mine. Matter of fact, you a sex offender. You shouldn't even be talking to me, man. Get the hell away from my cell. Dude stands there quietly. Don't say nothing. Looks at him. Dude tells him again, look, man, I ain't gonna tell you again, get away from my cell. You a sex offender. Other guys in the pod knew by now why this guy was locked up, even though any of us that knew anything about his case knew that he wasn't a sex offender. He should not be in prison. The real man was either dead or still out there in the world somewhere, the one that was responsible for these crimes. As dude's calling him a sex offender, you can see there's a kind of a rage built up inside of him, along with a sadness of A, that he's done all this time for something he didn't do, and B, that he's got this man blatantly disrespecting him, calling him something that he's not. Dude makes his comments and threats towards dude, and he just says, all right, and he walks off. I watch all this transpire. It's right across the pod over near the ice machine. I think it was like cell 4, and I'm watching. And I hear this dude saying all this stuff, calling this man out his name, bashing him, pretty much telling everybody in the pod, this guy's a sex offender, he's a rapist, blah, blah, blah. And the guy just nods his head and walks off. He's messed up in the head. This is when that whole pressure bust pipes comes into play. He goes over to his cell, and we don't lock down for about maybe another hour, or maybe a little bit less than that, maybe a little bit longer. I can't remember exactly. And I hear all this commotion, just straight fighting, thudding. It's later in the night, so a lot of guys got to get up, go to work. They've done went to sleep. You got select guys sitting out in the pod, but on these late nights, by the time we lock down, there's usually a handful of guys sitting out there. So if there's any noises out the ordinary, you hear them. You pick up on them. Your spider senses get to tingling, and you can come to your door if you're awake and look out and see what's going on. The innocent dude is over another dude's cell that's got the murder charge, and he's got him on the ground, and he had just beaten this man. Done lumped him up, pinned him down, and is just sitting on him, and he's beating him. Beating him as if that was the prosecutor that sent him away. Beating him as if he was the judge that found him guilty. Beating him as if that was the actual man that did the crime. All them years of compiled anger has come to surface. He beat on this man for a better part of 2 minutes, maybe 3. And that's a lifetime to have somebody beating you up. It really is. You might not think so. And if you say it's not, then you've never really been in a serious physical altercation where you're on the losing side of it. But for 2 or 3 minutes, he would just beat on this man. The man he beat up, his bunkie never even got off the cell. That's how brutal the beating was. This was a normal guy. A guy that shouldn't even be in there. A guy that did nothing wrong, that left his whole world and family behind and was thrown in prison with all of us, and he shouldn't be there. And in that moment of that guy calling him a sex offender, a rapist, him feeling like all hope was lost because these papers are now lost. He can't get this stuff redone. He can't get these papers back. And if he does, he won't get them back in time to file them to the court system. In that moment, he just snapped. Maybe it was a combination of the disrespect and the stress over being there and the loss of the papers. But after he beat the man, he calmly went over to his bunk, which was maybe 3 feet from where he was laying on the floor, went through all those envelopes and all those files of that man's paperwork, looking for his papers. Was coming out the cell when the guards rushed in and put him in handcuffs. He didn't find his papers, and he hurt that man real bad and got shipped up off of there. They took him, put him in the hole, shipped him up to a higher level. I believe he went to Sussex 1 from Greensville. He would never get his papers again. He would never see my cellmate again. My cellmate at that time, I think, still had 3.5, 4 years left to do on a 10-year sentence. But now they're on 2 different compounds. No chance that you can run across him if he comes out the hole. Which my cellmate did come out the hole. He ended up going to the other side of the yard. Him hurting that man made his situation that much worse. Now we're going in front of the parole board. He may not go every year. He's now physically injured another inmate. He's labeled as a violent offender, violent inmate because of his charges to begin with, and now he has displayed violence to the point that he almost killed somebody. So now when he does go in front of the parole board, any chances of him making parole and going home have just been pushed way, way back. He may not see the parole board for years now because of this. So now it went from serious nature of crime being the reason they wouldn't parole him to him hurting somebody else and that being the reason. Not to mention, with parole, they expect you to admit to what you did. Even if you didn't do it, the only way you will ever get parole is to go in there and say, I feel remorse for what I did. I'm sorry. I am the guy you're looking for. And he would never, ever, and I know he never will, go in front of that parole board and show remorse or admit to something he didn't do. So because he won't fess up to a crime he didn't commit, he'll sit in prison the rest of his life. That's sad. You're telling the people, I didn't do this. Been over 30 years now, and I'm still telling y'all, I didn't do this. Well, if you won't admit to what you did and tell us how bad you feel for what you did, you don't get no chance of going home. How you gonna have me tell you I did something that I didn't do? Crazy how that whole thing ended, man. My cellmate went to S1. Dude went to another prison. And do I think that he'll ever be released? No. We have what's called the actual Innocence Project out here. There's one in D.C. and different states that investigate guys' crimes that they believe to be innocent. They look into their cases. And they had worked on his case for years. The times didn't line up. There's no possible way he's the guy. The picture lineup that he had, they showed the picture lineup in his motion discovery. And he was the only dark-skinned man out of all the other pictures, like 6 or 8 other pictures. He was the only one with skin that was that dark. The other guys were brown or light-skinned, and this guy was dark-skinned. So if your assailant was a dark-skinned male, and you have 6 pictures in front of you, and there's only one laying there that's got a man with dark skin, which one did you think they were going to pick? This story was rough to tell, man, because I have a big heart. A big, big heart. I have compassion, remorse, all these different things when it comes to humans, especially good humans. Please excuse the sound of the rain. I know you could probably hear it. It's pouring down out here. Throw that in real quick. My heart goes out to that man. It goes out to his family. And it goes out to the victims. To the women that were victimized. That felt that they put the right man in prison. That I'm sure to this day feel comfort in knowing that he's behind bars. The sad fact is, the man that did it didn't go to trial that day. That man is either dead now, still in society, or incarcerated elsewhere. And an innocent man is doing the rest of his life in prison. It's hard to leave you with something positive out of something that is so just terrible. But I'm going to leave you with this. The only thing we're guaranteed in life is to be born and to die. Those are 2 guarantees you have. We're all going to experience that. Wouldn't be here if you weren't born. And once you're born, you must die. You never know what tomorrow holds. You never know what the future may bring. You could be the best person, living your best life, the best father, the best mother. And life as you know it in a split second could get snatched upside down. You get hauled away in handcuffs. It's not very common that it happens, but it does happen every day in the world. There is somebody in every prison in America and throughout the world that is innocent. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's scientifically proven. It's a fact. Live your life to the fullest. Don't put things on the back burner that you want to do and say, man, I'm too busy, man. I'll get to it. Because you may never get to it. Watch how you treat people. Because you never know if you're going to still have them same opportunities next week. When it comes to your kids, hug your kids, love your kids. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. I hope to help people with these videos, even when they're difficult to do and talk about. I don't like doing videos like this. But the awareness needs to be spread. People need to think before they act. Don't just act. I am one of those men that deserved to be in prison. I am grateful and will forever be grateful that I went to prison. It was not a good experience. It was not something I enjoyed. But unfortunately, I had to go through that to become who I am today. If I was to see the Judge Gill, and the prosecutor, Melissa Hoyt, I would thank them because they saved my life. Hands down, by proving I was guilty, they saved my life. Had I not went to prison that day, I do not think that I would be sitting here talking to you right now. I think that my life would have ended many years ago, or that I would have went on to take someone else's life and be one of those men that's never coming home. I always tell y'all, this is a beautiful world we live in. It's a crazy world, but it's beautiful at the same time. Just having the ability to step outside and touch a tree, walk in the grass, have human interaction, contact, to go in a store and choose, do I want Pepsi or Coke? These are all beautiful options we have in life. And in a split second, whether you're innocent or guilty, they can be taken away. I've had detectives sit in my face and tell me, we know it was you. And I know it wasn't me. I know that everything they're saying is BS. Try not to curse, man. I know it's BS. I'm telling them, man, that ain't me. It ain't never you, is it? It was me them other times. I did them things, but that ain't me. I didn't do that. I ain't about to cop to nothing. I ain't pleading out to nothing. If I ain't do it, I'm going to go down swinging. I didn't do it. But at the moment you become a suspect and they ain't got nobody else to point the finger at, oh, you did it. Doesn't matter if you did it or not. I had the utmost respect for that man, because he would not succumb to their BS. He would not let them tell him that he was ever going to say, I'm sorry for something he didn't do. He had said it many times. I feel bad for the victims in the case, but it wasn't me. At the end of the day, and this is the sad, harsh reality of the penal system. At the end of the day, they say that all they care about is justice, which for a lot of them, that is true. But in reality, all that they care about is the conviction. I know there's cops out there that know they sent the wrong person to prison, but they're not going to get out there and advocate to get that man out, because then it tarnishes their reputation. These prosecutors, these judges, and not all of them, but there are some out there that know when it's all said and done and they lay in bed at night and they put their head on that pillow, they know, I might have put the wrong man in prison. If there's a might in your thoughts, then that's reasonable doubt. That man shouldn't be there. You need to get it back in court. You need to make sure you've got the right people locked up. Because if he's in there for something he didn't do, that means the weirdo, the sicko, the maniac that did do it is still out here, able to do it again. Sometimes you got to go beyond what you know as the law and use common sense. It would have took that man 7 hours, over 7 hours, to get from South Carolina to Virginia. And then over 7 hours to get from Virginia back to South Carolina. That's 14, 15 hours plus the act. That much time for him not being accounted for. You've got all these people that have no reason to lie, saying, it's not him, he was here. But none of that matters, because he's their suspect. If they say he did it, he did it. But he didn't do it. Please live your best life. Be good to your wife. Be good to your husband. Love your kids. Love the options you have. I've seen many a man snap out in prison. I've snapped in prison and in the world. That stress gets to you. It just, sometimes you can't control it. This is a crazy story to tell. And I'm going to pray for that man. I'm going to pray that he does get a chance at life again. And that the person that did these disgusting acts pays for his sins. He pays for the crimes he committed. But anyways, these jails, the detention centers, these prisons, these facilities, they're all just crazier worlds inside of an already crazy world we live in. And as always, y'all know what I'm doing. Just trying to keep y'all entertained. Are you not entertained? And like always, this is Jay Williams. Let's live life. And to all my real ones, and there are some real ones watching, because y'all still watching me. Now, y'all know how we do. Salute.